Listen, laugh, and learn with Sacha and Ish as they share their experiences, thoughts, and tips to build skills that are not so average and a career that's not so ordinary. This is the Not So Breakfast Show.
All right, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, the podcast for leadership and career development. And today, this is our part 3 of 3. So this is the last one in the series where we've been talking about building your best year yet. And we'll do a bit of a recap through the last 2 topics before we kind of get into the next topic, which is around the action plan that needs to be in behind. Now that you kind of know what you want and now that you've done some recognition on maybe how you were showing up. But before we get into that, Sacha, it looks like you're ready for a swim today.
I am about to have a swim, but because this is part 3, are we, this is Return of the Jedi, right?
This is Return of the Jedi, yeah.
So what does that make me? Am I Leia or am I Jabba the Hutt?
You are Princess Leia, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think I'm actually probably Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm the old, wise, wizened old woman.
I like that. And technically we say, well, I suppose it was in the trilogy, but of course Return of the Jedi wasn't episode 3, was it? It was episode 6.
It was not.
It was, I'm afraid. But anyway, that's all good. We don't have to debate that.
So if you're listening to this because you think it is part 3, wrong, because in a few years' time, we're going to release the precursors and this is going to turn into episode 6.
Oh, good. Well, for our first session in this series, we talked about how are you showing up. So just a little bit of a reality check, and a sense check really, is are there any behaviors that you're doing that are working against you? Is there some things that you could do to bring a different level of intensity, a different level of focus, a different level of just the value that you bring to the everyday things that you may not even consider impact your career, but you are often judged on by people that matter? So just switching on those levels of awareness and filters for how you're showing up day to day. And then in the second episode, what we looked at is, what do you want? We talk about building your best year yet, but what do you want? And more specifically, why do you want it? It's not just a goal that we set. I want to develop my career. What specifically? And we came up with the pie after a huge amount of debate
the pie
on how we should segment up our life. But we finally got there with the pie. And we said, look, it's your pie. You cut it however you want, and you decide what those segments are, whether they're finance, career, relationships, even individual relationships, if you're wanting to do that. It could be your health, it could be your spiritual life. There's a number of different segments that you could be focusing on, but what do you want specifically? And does it excite you? Because otherwise, when we get into this part around the steps in behind it and what you need to have in place, if it doesn't excite you, it's just going to be something you put on a list at a certain time of the year, and next year you'll just have to go, oh, I didn't get that one. So it should be framed in a way that excites you and motivates you to actually put the action plan in place. And that's where we're going to be kicking off today. We're talking about action plans and some strategies around goal setting. So you and I are quite passionate with this session around not just going through goal setting strategies like the classic SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time measured, whatever those kind of parameters around it. We want to kind of think maybe a little bit different and give you some different ideas and some different ways to approach how you can stay on track to get what you want. Because there is lots of ways to set goals and lots of frameworks out there, isn't there, Sash?
Yeah, you can have SMART goals. You can have goals that are OKRs and KPIs and all of that. And having a clearly defined goal can be really important. While it's good to have a sense of a North Star and direction, I don't like getting too tied up in being really nitty-gritty specific. But you have to be able to taste what it's going to feel like when you get there. You have to be able to imagine how you will feel and how others around you will feel, and the difference you'll be able to make in the lives of others once you are at this place or this destination that you're moving towards. But we don't spend anywhere near enough time talking about, well, how are you actually going to get there?
Yeah.
What are the changes that you need to make in your own life? And I know this from my own experience. I can write you the most beautiful set of goals for my life. And then I'm just going to keep on doing what I've always done and wonder why those beautifully articulated and well-defined goals are not happening. Because it's not the expression of the goal that gets you the results. It's the willingness to change your behavior and do something different. Because if the behaviors and the path that you are on now were already getting you those results, you wouldn't be having feelings of discontent in those areas of your pie.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really talking about rhythms and routines that you should put in place that will help support you in the right direction to get what you want. So if we're using the idea of, I want to build my career, and your goal might be, that looks like a job that pays me over $100,000 a year, and you've clearly defined your why of why you want to earn that income. It's not just a success measure. There's something behind it. It's now, what rituals, rhythms, and routines should you do daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, in order to actually change your behavior to head towards what you want? Because all of those things add up, stack up, and that's really where we want to spend the majority of the discussion today.
Yeah, and I love this idea that if you take that job goal as the one that you're gunning towards, you have to ask yourself, what do you need to change about yourself in order to be eligible for those kind of roles? And it may be that you need more training. It may be that you need more experience. It may be that you need to upskill in a particular area. So you have to take action towards that. The action isn't usually apply for more jobs.
Yeah.
Usually the action is put myself in a position so that when I apply for the jobs, I am a more attractive candidate. So you want to break down what is the thing within you that needs to change, improve, get better in order to be able to fulfill that goal that you have for yourself.
And if you were wanting to increase your leadership ability or your management ability, you might identify that there are some key books that you should be reading. And then they just become a task. Oh, I need to read the book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or whatever it is. But unless you've got a rhythm in behind it that says, I read every morning for 15 minutes, it's unlikely that you'll find the time to do it, because it just becomes a task. Then we're trying to slot this task in. So the rhythm of reading leadership materials that might start with that book will get you more towards the goal of improving your leadership, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so this comes back to what we talked about earlier, that this idea of rhythm, planning, setting up your week for success. It's also about not just having a to-do list, it's having when you are going to do it. So a lot of talk about habits, the James Clear book, Atomic Habits, about how you can make these micro changes and sometimes bigger changes as well. And you and I both think that planning phase is really important. That if you look at your week or your month and you say, in order to achieve my goals, what are the things that I need to do on a daily basis? What do I need to do weekly? What monthly would I need to do? What things might I do on a quarterly basis? And you can actually just map them out for the whole year. And I think exercise is a really good example of this, that if people want to be able to run 10Ks, you can't just do that on a day that you set aside in August. That's the day I'm going to run 10Ks. Well, you're going to have to do a bit of work before then, and you work backwards to go, what does that look like? And it doesn't mean run every day. So this is a classic example where it's not a daily habit that you need, but it is something that you're going to have to incorporate into your week. So I think it's really useful to break down your goal into bite-sized chunks and work out what's the rhythm of activity that you need, so that you end up with, these are my daily disciplines. These are my weekly things I've got to get done, and here's some things that I need to check in with monthly. Let me tell you what I think is a funny story. Chris and I, when we got married, to be fair, our children when we were married were, let me guess, 16. So Jordan had been born not from me, and not obvious that it wasn't from me, I'm just saying. Tiger was 6 and Portia was 2. So I'm not spoiling or ruining people's afternoon or breakfast by letting you know that just because we bought a new bed when we got married wasn't because it was our first bed. we'd had beds before. But I know that we got this new bed, and not long after we got married, we moved into a new house. And over time, that bed has just completely moulded to the shape of our bodies, such that it's almost impossible for anyone else to sleep in it. Not that they need to, but there's literally like a little bit of a Mount Everest between my side and Chris's side. So it's like if you ever want to venture over to the other person's side of the bed, it's like, hang on, I'm getting my crampons to climb over the massive ridge in our mattress. So this year, we went, you know what, we're going to treat ourselves with a new bed because you're worth it. So, new bed, wicked. The new bed requires, when you first buy it, you have to turn it around every 2 weeks for a number of weeks. And then you turn it around once a month, and then you turn it around once every 6 months, something like that. Anyway, when we bought the bed, Chris said, okay, you're in charge of the rhythm schedule of the rotation of the bed. No worries, I said, leave it to me. We're already 6 weeks into this new bed, and this is the start of this little mountain. We're like, man, the mountain's already started. Who's on the schedule of, aren't we supposed to have turned it around? And so a really simple thing like turning our new mattress around, what I should have done when I said, yes, I'll be responsible for that, I needed to actually just chuck it in my calendar, make a diary note. This is something we use every day. And I had all the best intentions, but unless you physically make a note. So when we both together turned it around the other day, I'm like, right, now I'm going to write down. And it's like, I think when you're new in your marriage, you're like, honey, it's tonight. And it means different things. But now I've got an asterisk in my diary for, honey, it's tonight. We're going to rotate that mattress. We're going to make that mattress sing. But I thought it was a classic example of really good intentions and actually doing nothing about the thing that needed to be done.
And at least then, if you've got it that we make the bed together on a Friday or whatever that is, that you can do the rotation, as to your point, it's got a time, it's got a place, and it becomes the set rhythm so that you know that it gets done. Because otherwise you end up doing it out of desperation when the hill arises in the middle of the bed. Or you're on your own and it's too hard to do because, all of that stuff, just that little bit of planning makes such a difference.
Life, mate.
Well, one of the goals that I've kind of been working on is the whole listening to different points of view and different podcasts I wouldn't normally listen to and reading different things that I wouldn't normally read. So I've started to build a list of those, but the rhythm is the time that it gets done, right? So my morning rhythm at the moment is get up, walk, listen to the podcast, and then start into my day-to-day. If I'm working from home, my rhythm in the morning if I'm going to work is get up, decide what I'm going to be listening to, and then hop into my car and then listen to it on the way into work. But it's always education in the morning.
I thought you were going to be get up, decide what I'm going to be, and I'm like, today, Matthew, I'm going to be a fireman.
That was a great show. What was that called?
Today, I'm going to be a journalist. Stars in their eyes.
Stars in their eyes. That's right. Today, Matthew, I'm going to be
Tina Turner.
Good job, Eric.
So I interrupted you. Not like me. You choose what you're going to listen to, chucking on in the car on the way in. Yeah.
Yeah. So the rhythm is always at the same time, and I've kind of got my morning routine pretty good. I'm a little bit messy in the afternoon. I haven't got that down. I don't have a really good set afternoon routine, and sometimes my time will get eaten up by meetings, so I need to get better at that. But the morning one is pretty precise, and I know what the focus is. I know where it's going to fit in. But definitely, if you think about things you want to develop, or it might be your finances, for example, you might decide that you're going to be doing $200 a month in Sharesies, and that's the rhythm, and you're going to make sure that on this date it gets transferred in, and then you're also going to be doing some research in the background. But the rhythm that it happens on the 15th of the month or whatever date it is doesn't really matter, but the consistency of I'm working on my finances and we want to be financially secure, and one of the activities is this is the rhythm that we invest.
I think another really important thing is to understand, at least initially, what's the right rhythm for you based on that thing. Don't laugh. I mean, by all means, laugh. Why wouldn't you laugh? I'm
already laughing.
As with any good goal setting or action, I don't think it's possible to do anything without going to Kmart and buying some kind of tool that's going to assist you. So whether that's a new pad, a new pencil, in my case, it's a whole new whiteboard. So I've got a weekly planner whiteboard. So beautiful. And what I thought I'd do is, because I'm on a health kick, and the health for me is around my metabolic health, so I'm particularly interested in some of the new science around anti-aging, and not because I'm one of those egotistical wankers who wants to live to be 100, but because I've experienced cancer. I already have a predisposition to be metabolically unwell. We already know my body doesn't work properly. So now that I've hit 50, I'm like, right, I'm going to take some of the necessary steps. So I bought this weekly planner thinking what I'll do is at the start, on a Sunday night, I'm going to plan out all of my nutrition, all of my supplementation, my vitamins, all of my exercise. And right, so the first week I had the planner, nothing happened. I just got a bit busy. So I thought, right, this planner is not working. So what I did this Sunday was I unwrapped the planner, and that felt like an important step, because it turns out just buying it isn't enough. You have to unwrap it. And then,
who knew?
I know. So this Sunday what I did is I planned Monday. And as I went to plan Tuesday, I went, oh, but I'm just not sure what the other people in my house are going to want to eat. So is it going to be chicken or steak? And I went, no, that's too hard. So what I did is I planned Monday, then I did Monday. And then on Monday night, I've planned Tuesday. Now, that's not going to work for everybody. Other people are going to need to do it in advance. But I found actually just the night before is enough to say, what are you going to eat tomorrow? What's your exercise going to be? What are the extra things you need to get done? And so far, it's working really, really well. I'm 2 days in, so it's early days.
But part of it is because you're actually defining a new rhythm in replace of a rhythm that's not serving
Completely,
you, right?
yeah.
So your rhythm at the moment is you go to the supermarket every day, or you just decide what you're going to eat on the day, and then you shop and act accordingly to that rhythm. And let's not...
You get hungry at 3 o'clock and have a peanut slab.
And have a peanut slab. So let's not, delude ourselves into thinking we don't have rhythms and routines in place. We totally do. And sometimes those serve us and sometimes they don't. It's like the person that goes, well, I don't have time to work on this thing that I want to work on, and yet they have time to watch Netflix 2 hours a day. There's a rhythm there's a routine that's been embedded. So sometimes just being able to identify what am I currently doing that's not serving me, and what rhythm and routine will give me more momentum to move towards where I need to be heading.
Yes, when is it going to fit? What's the rhythm? What's the routine? And I like the R of recognition, that classic self-awareness. So yesterday, because I'm working from home, there was a stunning golf playoff between Lydia Ko and Nelly Korda. And they ended up being tied after the 18th. It was incredible. So I said to Porsche, I'm just going to watch one playoff hole. So I watched that playoff hole and they were still tied. And so then I just watched the next playoff hole. And I was like, the end of today, you can't complain about what you didn't get done, because right now you are actively choosing to not do the things on your list that are most important. A golf competition that last night you didn't even know existed. It wasn't even on your radar. You just happened to have walked past it, and now it's sucked you into the vortex of attention. Is now stealing time from you. So recognize that. Recognize that every choice you make is literally a choice. You do not get stuck in traffic. You are traffic.
Yeah.
And if you're not using that time well, that's on you. Everything that's happening is a choice. And so I love this idea of building actions and habits that reflect your choices, because it gives you power over those things that have previously defeated you. It gives you agency. And it's not about setting yourself up to have amazing willpower. It's about setting up great systems. Have great systems so that willpower does not even come into it.
Well, I had one with, I used to just literally in my car just leave all my bag for the next day and notebooks and pens everywhere, and there was rubbish in there too. And then I just kind of made a decision that I just want to have a really non-cluttered car, and I just got into a routine and a rhythm that every day when I get home, everything comes out. So if there's a bit of rubbish there, it gets thrown out. If there's a bag or a diary, it comes into the house. And I've had that routine and rhythm since Christchurch, really. So we're talking like over 12 years, and I still don't leave anything in my car.
Look, I think it's amazing, Ish, but I also think you've probably crossed the line into showing off a little bit. I think you'll alienate our listeners right now, because I actually don't think there's anything wrong with having a messy car.
No, not at all.
We should probably just edit this one.
But as an example,
legend. I know, right? I know. My boot at the moment is just full of just the most amazing assortment of things going back to about September of last year. Yeah. But it's a choice. It's absolutely a choice.
Yeah. Maybe even using just a real simple stop, start, continue.
Yeah, tell me more.
Framework to sit in behind some of the goals that we have set for ourselves. So if it is something like the nutrition thing, right? So I want to start eating better and I want to start taking care of my nutrition. So I've got more energy, so I'm more attentive, so I can focus better. And we've got the why behind it. We know what we want. And then the rhythm is I'm going to make sure for breakfast I have a smoothie every single day. Now, if that's the rhythm, we can start to look at stop, start, continue. So what do I need to stop doing in order for that rhythm to work? So it might be I need to stop getting up at the last minute. Because if I get up at the last minute, I'm just going to not have breakfast, or I'm going to grab the quickest sugary snack I can before I head out the door, or it's just a coffee, right? So it might be I need to stop doing that. I need to start having the ingredients in the pantry ready to go. So I need to have that written on my grocery list that every week that is going to be there, and I need to know what smoothie I'm going to have, so that start the plan. And I need to continue having breakfast. Like it's something that that is already in place. So it's not like you're not doing that. If you didn't have breakfast, then you need to start having breakfast. And then all of these things just need to be taken into account, because otherwise it will become too difficult. So then you embed the rhythm. Part of my nutrition, part of my focus is a smoothie every single day, raw food, whatever that is. And here's how it rolls out. And that is going to get me my energy that I need so that I can, be more alert and attentive and all that kind of stuff.
Love it.
Another thing that we could talk about is just the importance of taking that first step. Sometimes we overcomplicate the planning and we walk away from it thinking, okay, so yes, this is what I'm going to do, and I'll get back to that tomorrow. But there should always be a primary action. Like, what is the first thing that you can do right now? And it might be, right now I can write down the ingredients for the smoothie and I can put it on the fridge so that it's ready to go when I do my groceries. That could be my immediate action. Because if you go, yes, I'm going to add it to my grocery list, and then you don't, and then you forget, and then you just go, oh, the whole thing's too difficult. So little immediate actions, again, this is atomic habits, right? But a little immediate actions, and we've talked about that with exercise, putting your shoes, your socks, your training gear, and a spare pair of undies and a towel in your bag the night before so that you're ready to go should you have your workout the next day, which is planned. But at least you have eliminated the excuse of, oh, I forgot my gear. I got up too late and I didn't have time to pack my gear. Get it sorted. So whenever you set an intention, there should be an initial action. What can I do right now that moves me towards it? I need to write that email. Put the email in your diary to do tomorrow. I need to talk to that person. Put their number in your planner ready to go. So all of those little actions really do add up to build momentum.
And I love this idea that if thinking about the thing takes longer than doing the thing, just do the thing. So if it's like, oh, I have to ring and get my car booked in for a warrant, if you've had that thought, it's now going to be more efficient to ring right now than it is to go and write in your diary to ring at some other time. Think the thing, do the thing. 3, 2, 1, go.
It's like when your registration comes for your car and it comes in the mail now, and you just, as soon as you open it, the barcode's there to scan it, do it, done.
One touch, right? I love the idea of one touch. It's in and it's out. And I love the idea, speaking from no expertise in this at all. So when people are described as paper shufflers, I want you to recognise when that's what you do. When you take a bit of paper, you look at it, you go deal with it later, you put it in a pile, you chuck it in a backpack. 2 weeks later, you pull out that bit of paper, I've got to do something with that. And then you move it somewhere else. That's the classic paper shuffler, inefficient, and we do that all the time with our tabs in our digital world as well. Or just check my email, pop back to Twitter, pop back to WhatsApp. Oh, I wonder what's happening on Snap. And you're moving through all of these things, just spinning wheels, doing nothing. And go back and listen to our episodes about personal productivity. But these things all play in together where you go, I want to take action right now. One of the things I've challenged the coffee culture team with just this week is to say, we've only got 52 weeks in the year and it feels like a lot, but it's really easy to fill every week with little stuff that needs doing, tidying up some loose ends, getting sorted, and all words for not actually doing that deep work or the most important thing that's going to actually make a difference to some of our organisational goals. So I've challenged everybody to say at the start of the week, what do I need to do this week that actually moves us? I've got 52 weeks. So if a week is a unit, what are you going to do in each of those? Oh, 4 of them you're away because you've got holidays. So now we're down to 48. 11 of them are public holidays. So now we're down to, I don't know, less. And before you know it, you're down to actually not that many weeks of productive work in every quarter and in every year.
That's right.
So what are you doing today? And what do you commit to get finishing by the end of this week? And sometimes if you want to get something finished in 3 weeks' time, and this is something that we ought to be good at, but no one really teaches us, is to backfill the task. If it's 3 weeks away, what do I need to do today? How do I build the habit of taking action today towards a deadline that's further away into the future? And I think the people who succeed in life are often people who are just instinctively good at this. And everybody, all of us can be good at it in terms of our goal pursuit if we just take a little bit of time to set those things up, break it down. What am I doing now?
Yeah, to your point just then, it is a skill. It is something that you can learn. It is something that you can embed. It's something you can be taught or you can teach. It's not a trait. So to say, oh, well, I'm just a really unmotivated person, I'm a bit lazy, that's not true. It's just that you haven't prioritize your focus in different ways. So it's not a trait. It's something that you just need to actually put better systems in place so that you can act out in a different way, because you can still be motivated. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to some stuff, but I get a hell of a lot of stuff done because of systems that sit in behind it.
And I think about, when we think about traits, if you're going, well, what's a trait, what's not a trait? Think about your height. So once you reach your adult height is your height. So I am short. That's something that's immovable. So lazy is not something that's immovable. Anything that can be changed, adapted, is not fixed in time, you have some agency over. And if you're going to have your best year yet, you might as well start right now recognizing when you have those thoughts that are really destructive. Oh, I'm a procrastinator. Oh, I'm lazy. Oh, I never achieved it. Yeah. Noise. Okay, last thing to think about when we're building your best year yet is as you attempt to step up and you want to have a bit more and you're just more certain about what you want, you have new rhythms and new routines. I love this expression, new level, new devil. And what that means is that as you go for something more, there will be new situations that crop up to thwart you. And one of the tricks is to identify or anticipate the derailers. What might put you off? What might get in the way? And if you can recognize them in advance, when they do crop up, you're able to say, get behind me, Satan, not today. So if you say, well, the reason I'm not going to be able to achieve my online learning course is I'm going to get sucked into watching Netflix. If you say that in advance, you write that down in advance, in the first night that you find yourself getting sucked into it, you go, oh, no, I'm going to actively choose to not do this because in my rhythm and routine, Tuesday is the night that I do my online learning. If that works for you. So calling out in advance, you know yourself better than anyone. You know what it is that you're going to be tempted by. So how can you build systems that protect you from that?
So today, this has been a really good discussion in the third part of our series. And in the third part today, again, refreshing through, we're saying, if you're going to have your goals and if you're going to have your aspirations and your focus of what you want to work on, you've defined what that is and you've motivated yourself to do it, Now you need to really look at what rituals, what routines need to be in place in order to support the behavior, not just the list of tasks, not just to focus on the goal. What activities, rhythms will actually start to move you in the right direction? And then make sure that you embed those. Do them over and over, because the compounding effect of all of those actions is what's going to move you forward and what's going to help keep you on track as you develop and build your best year yet.
Preach! I'm leaving this now to fill in what I'm going to exercise and eat tomorrow. Just a day at a time for me. A day at a time.
Get on the planner. If you've enjoyed the series as well, please share it with a friend, share it with a work colleague. We're all about sharing the love and the learning love. So these are a couple of good episodes to binge and just pass on to someone that you think would benefit from that, or someone that you want to listen to it and then sit together and debrief it. Have a coffee, have a chat about it. Good time.
And if you're enjoying the podcast, rate it. That helps us heaps. If you don't enjoy the podcast, go away. That's on you. We all have choices.